Right now, as you're watching this, you're surrounded by radioactive materials. Not in a dramatic or cinematic way, not in a danger is coming kind of story, but in a quiet, physical reality that has always existed on Earth, long before humans ever understood it or gave it a name. The word radioactive usually creates very strong mental images. Nuclear explosions, evacuated cities, invisible contamination spreading through land and water. And of course, real historical events like the Chernobyl disaster in 1986, where a reactor failure released large amounts of radioactive material into the environment. Or the atomic bombings of Hiroshima and Nagasaki in 1945, where radiation was part of an immediate and catastrophic chain of events that changed human history forever. These events are real and they are important. They define why radiation is treated with extreme care today. They shaped global safety rules, medicine, nuclear engineering, and even politics. But they also created something else, a kind of mental association where radiation is always linked to disasters. In reality though, radiation is not rare, it is everywhere. It is part of the environment you live in every second of your life, whether you're aware of it or not. It comes from the ground beneath you, from the air around you, from space above you, and even from inside your own body. And the more you understand it, the more you realize something counterintuitive. The world is not divided into radioactive and not radioactive. It is all slightly radioactive all the time, just in levels that are normally very low and naturally balanced. To understand this invisible world, we can start from the planet itself. Earth is not chemically neutral. It contains naturally occurring radioactive elements such as uranium and thorium. These are not artificial or man-made. They have existed since the formation of the planet, locked inside rocks, soil, and minerals. Over time, these elements slowly decay. This process releases small amounts of radiation continuously, as part of a natural cycle that has been running for billions of years. In most environments, this is completely harmless. It does not affect daily life in any noticeable way, but it is always present. The ground beneath your feet is never truly inactive. It is constantly, at a very low level, radiating energy as part of its natural composition. And it doesn't stop at the soil. Even the air participates in this system. In some regions, a gas called radon slowly escapes from underground rocks and can accumulate in enclosed spaces, like basements or poorly ventilated buildings. It is invisible, odorless, and completely undetectable without instruments. This is why it is monitored in certain countries like China, Russia, Canada, and Central Eastern Europe, especially in areas with specific geological conditions. But even if you remove yourself from the ground completely, radiation would still not disappear, because Earth is constantly being bombarded by cosmic radiation. These are high-energy particles coming from the sun and deep space, traveling across the universe and reaching our planet. Most of them are blocked by the atmosphere and magnetic field, but not all. A small fraction always gets through. This means that even on a normal day, standing outside, you are being gently exposed to radiation from space itself. And this changes depending on where you are. At higher altitudes, such as during air travel, the atmosphere is thinner, so cosmic radiation exposure increases slightly. It is still considered safe, but it is measurable and it is real. So even without touching anything, even without interacting with objects, you are already living inside a constant natural radiation environment, shaped by Earth and space together. Now, before we go deeper into where things become even more surprising, just a quick note. If you're enjoying this video, please consider subscribing to ProjectNOTOS. This channel is exactly built for this kind of curiosity-driven storytelling, where science, space, technologies, and hidden stories of reality all connect into one bigger picture. And if you want to continue this topic, there are already connected videos exploring events like Chernobyl and Hiroshima even in more details. Links in the description below as usual. Radiation is not only something external, it is also embedded in everyday objects. Take something simple, a banana. Bananas contain potassium, which is essential for life. Your muscles, nerves, and heart depend on it. But natural potassium includes a tiny fraction of potassium-40, which is radioactive. This means that every banana is technically emitting a small amount of radiation. But again, the key idea is scale. The amount is extremely small, and it is harmless in normal conditions. And interestingly, because your own body contains potassium, you're also slightly radioactive. This is one of those points where the concept stops being abstract and starts becoming personal. Radiation is not just something in the environment, it is part of biology itself. And bananas are only the beginning. Certain foods, like Brazil nuts, can contain trace elements absorbed from soil, including naturally occurring radioactive materials. Some salt substitutes, due to their higher potassium content, show similar properties. Even construction materials contribute to this background reality. Granite, for example, used in countertops and buildings, can contain small traces of uranium and thorium naturally present in the rock. This does not make homes unsafe. It simply reflects the fact that buildings are built from earth materials, and earth materials carry natural signatures. There are other everyday objects quietly connected to this same idea. Some older ceramic dishes and glassware can contain trace radioactive materials used in their coloring. Certain camera lenses, especially vintage ones, were made with thorium to improve clarity. Even some fertilizers used in agriculture carry small amounts of natural radioactive elements from the minerals they come from. And then there are human-designed systems that use radiation intentionally. Smoke detectors are a good example. Some models use a tiny sealed radioactive source, often americium-241, to help detect smoke particles. The key idea here is a control. The material is contained, measured, and used for a practical purpose. It is an example of how radiation, when understood and managed, becomes a tool rather than a threat. Now, before the answer to the core question, should we worry then? Here is what often surprises people. Some fun facts about the radioactive world. First, there was a time when radioactive materials were used in everyday consumer products. In the early 20th century, before the risks were fully understood, people added radioactive elements to things like watches, cosmetics, and even health tonics. Some watch dials actually glowed in the dark because they were painted with radioactive material. It looked futuristic, but it turned out to be extremely dangerous for the workers producing them. Second, radiation is used in hospitals to save lives every day. From cancer treatment like radiotherapy to medical imaging techniques, controlled radiation is one of the most powerful tools in modern medicine. Third, food can be exposed to radiation on purpose and still be safe to eat. There is a process called food irradiation, where certain foods are exposed to controlled radiation to kill bacteria and extend shelf life. The food itself does not become radioactive, but the process helps reduce contamination and improve safety. Fourth, astronauts receive significantly more radiation than people on Earth. Outside the protection of Earth's atmosphere and magnetic field, space becomes a much harsher radiation environment. This is one of the major challenges for long-term missions to the Moon or Mars, and why spacecraft need special shields. Number 5. Some animals can actually survive levels of radiation that would be deadly for humans. Creatures like tardigrades, sometimes called water bears, are incredibly resistant to extreme environments, including radiation. They can survive conditions that would be completely lethal for most forms of life, which makes them a subject of ongoing scientific research. 6. There are natural nuclear reactors that existed on Earth long before humans built any. About 2 billion years ago, in a place now known as Oklo in Africa, natural conditions allowed uranium deposits to sustain self-regulating nuclear reactions. In other words, nature itself created nuclear reactors without any human intervention. Last one, radiation has no smell, no color, no sensation. The only way to detect it is through instruments like Geiger-Müller counters for general detection of gamma, beta, and X-rays, and scintillation detectors for higher sensitivity to subtle changes, which is why it remained completely unknown for most of human history. Now, stepping back from all of this, a question naturally appears. Should we be worried? And the honest answer is no, not in the context of daily life at least, because everything we discussed so far exists at very low levels. This is what scientists call background radiation. It is constant, natural, and part of the environment humans evolved in. What becomes dangerous is not radiation itself, but high uncontrolled exposure. This is what happened in events like Chernobyl or in Hiroshima and Nagasaki, where nuclear explosions cause both immediate destruction and long-term radiation effects on survivors. Those events are critical in understanding risk and responsibility. They are part of why modern safety systems exist and why radiation today is heavily monitored and controlled. But they are not the baseline of reality. They are extreme exceptions that taught humanity how to handle something that was already part of nature. And because of that knowledge, radiation is now used safely in medicine, industry, energy, and science. So if there is one final idea to make from all of this, it is not that the world is secretly dangerous or filled with hidden threats waiting to be discovered. It is something more interesting than that. It is that reality has layers, that what feels ordinary is actually built on invisible processes we rarely notice, and that radiation is not a symbol of fear, but a natural behavior of matter itself. And when you see the world through that lens, it doesn't become less safe, it just becomes more real, and in a strange way, more fascinating than it ever seemed before. Thank you for watching this video on Project NOTOS, and if you haven't yet, Don't forget to subscribe to the channel for more. See you in the next one.